Topping today's news, the Prime Minister commissions new dual-fuel turbine engines for BPL. The current and former Minister of Works butt heads over the cost of the new glass window bridge. $500 million available for private sector in the fight against climate change. And a man stabbed to death on Grand Bahama on the holiday weekend. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jarino Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. Prime Minister Philip Davis has said repeatedly that energy sector reform and reducing the cost of energy to the consumer, they are vital to lowering the cost of living for Bahamians and the cost of doing business for businesses here in the Bahamas. In support of the government's policy, around 4 p.m. today, the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Energy, in collaboration with Bahamas Power and Light and Bahamas Utilities Holdings Limited hosted a ceremony to commission dual-fuel turbine engines at Sun Oil's headquarters at Clifton Pier. We'll have much more on that ceremony and the new dual-fuel turbine engines in an upcoming report. The Davis administration says it is determined to complete repairs to the famous glass window bridge on Eleuthera to make it more safe and transform it into a tourist attraction. Over the weekend, former Free National Movement Minister of Works Desmond Bannister called for the government to explain the increased cost for the reconstruction of the bridge. Bannister reportedly said the bridge was set to cost between $26 and $35 million, while the new cost is pegged at $60 million. Clay Sweeting, the Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, explained in a statement on Monday the price Bannister referred to was the result of a feasibility study taken in November of 2020. Mr. Sweeting said the F&M study at that time was based on the preliminary design that did not include a detailed geotechnical study. He noted that inflation has also contributed to the increase in cost. Sweeting invited Mr. Bannister to review the finalized plans and costs for a better understanding before attempting to cause alarm. Once funding is secured in early 2025, the new glass window bridge is expected to be completed in early 2027. As the adverse effects from climate change continue to impact the Bahamas and the rest of the world, governments around the world are searching for ideas and programs that can help slow global warming, and they are now turning to the private sector. Director Rochelle Newbold, the Senior Policy Advisor for Climate Change in the Office of the Prime Minister, explains there is $500 million in funding for Bahamians in the private sector that can come up with ideas, programs, and projects that can assist in the fight against global warming.
A $500 million project that's targeted only for the private sector. A lot of times the private sectors would say that they don't get any support, they don't get any aid, they need some assistance. So now the government, hearing your cry, we've made this possible to you. The fund is going to be facilitated through the IDB Invest program, and it's open only to private sector entities who would have to deal with matters relative to climate-related changes, be it mitigation or adaptation for tourism, climate-smart agriculture, sustainable transport, renewable energy, infrastructure development, and matters related to the blue economy.
According to Newbold, your project can span anywhere from 1 to 5 years. However, she says they are looking for projects that can have far-reaching impacts. She also noted that other Caribbean countries are involved.
We are looking for big projects that'll have large impacts. We're talking about $500 million, okay? So we want people to think big in terms of their project proposals that they're going to submit, keeping in mind that we are not alone in this $500 bid. We also have our colleagues from Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, Belize, and the Dominican Republic. So it's a competitive offering.
Ms. Newbold says the government will host a virtual online consultative process on October 28th. To secure an invite to participate in that consultative process, send an email to cceau@bahamas.gov.bs. And finally, in this segment, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard is accusing the Prime Minister for breaking his word and breaking the law. He referred specifically to the Grand Lucayan sale, for which there has not yet been an announced seal deal. He also spoke to the Grand Bahama Airport, which he says, besides some demolition of the interior of the international airport, nothing is happening. Mr. Pintard pointed out that countless Grand Bahamians continue to be affected by the failed promises and untruths by the Prime Minister. He pointed out that there are those who aspire to be hired directly by the hotel and others like taxi drivers, musicians, straw vendors, and other entrepreneurs who stand on the ready to give the best in service and products to would-be tourists. You're listening to JCN News. We'll take a break. We'll be right back after these messages.